What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today, BTC USD. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, all right? It is the 18th of August, and here we are sitting at about $116,000 with the low at 114.6K today, the 18th. We have gone to the base of this range. I think, and from what I hear on X.com and even YouTube, it seems that a lot of people are calling for us to go down to 112K, right? Real original, guys, real original, right? You can't think for yourselves sometimes, and that's okay. I'm here to help you think, right? My thoughts are, and watch me be wrong. I don't know. We've been all right so far with this shakeout, but watch me be wrong on this, but I'm calling for this to be the low. I think that was the low. If it's not the low, we're off by a hair. Oh, what is it? A freckle's hair on a freckle on a hare's ass. That's what it is. We're off. We're off by just that much, man. We are off by a little bit, like 114.4K. That was the low end of the range there that we had, and we are just above that there. So if we were to go lower, if we're looking at this on a 1 hour time frame, perhaps we go down and form some kind of double bottom, some kind of slightly lower low, get some bullish divergence forming on our 1 hour RSI, MACD, stochastics, all of that, you name it. And it's looking like actually we're getting a red close on this candle here, which for the stochastics, actually I don't mind that. It's not a bad thing. It's not like you're rejecting the overboughts and you're just coming in, coming out. I would think that the stochastics actually imply that we go higher. The RSI could go higher too, but we could find resistance here. Overall, we're in this lower low, lower high trend here with the RSI, and I think that we could come higher. I didn't draw that line the best. It's supposed to be more like, why can't I draw straight lines, man? Here we go. I did that first one pretty all right, but like something like that. We could go a little bit higher. That's all I'm trying to say, right? We could go a little bit higher before coming back down to find resistance or support down at this like double bottom thought of an idea here. And if we went a little bit higher, where might we go? I wonder. You know what I mean? We're gonna find resistance right at prior support, 116.8K, which I'm pretty sure is also our golden ratio. And again, the reason why I think this is the low, and the reason why I think a lot of people are expecting that we go to here, is because, and the reason why I also said real original, guys, is because people don't think outside the box for the most part. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I don't think outside the box all the time. I get trapped in these little mind games that Bitcoin plays with us as well. But people think that this is the range that we're trapped in. And literally, quite literally, yes, we are trapped in this range, or we're trapped in this range. Yes, that's the high and low. But if you look at it with a little bit more of a magnifying glass, I would say that this is the high of the range, and that this is not the low right here. This is actually the low of the range, something like this right here. And we are below that. Anytime you bought below this line, it was a good time to buy. Anytime you sold above this line, it was a good time to sell, right? And we are just range bound in this tight range otherwise. So short-lived experiences down below this line, I don't expect, especially with the way this is wicking so far with 7 hours left in this day, I don't expect that we're going to come down to 112K. Now, just because I don't expect it doesn't mean it can't happen. Let's make sense out of that real quick. 30-day time frame here. Looking at the longs versus shorts, the shorts do have it, but the longs are still piled on, you guys. $9 billion in total, $11 billion in total. Man, these leverage positions have been decimated. I forget what it was, but I want to say there was like over 40 billion in total positions at one point earlier this month, or earlier in July. Just crazy how much has gotten liquidated. People are just backing off, man, or they've gotten cleaned out. They can't anymore. People are waiting to see what direction it picks, I guess. But if we were to move down again to try to find a range, I mean, most of this would get cleared out. All of it would get cleared out, in fact, at $111,000 and just below there. So, I mean, we could go down there. Maybe we clear out half of this, enough shorts pile on where the interest is to the upside. I don't know. I think the interest is already to the upside, but if we look at the past 7 days, and that 30-day doesn't load every like 24 hours for whatever reason. I've noticed it. Because if we look at this, I don't know, let's see. Over the past 7 days, there's about $12 billion. We look at in shorts, look at the past 30 days, there's about $12 billion. There's no way that in the past 30 days, the amount of shorts that have been piled on in the past 7 days are all accounted for. There's no way. So this isn't completely appropriate as to how many shorts and how many longs there are. But what I'm trying to say is it would make sense to go a little bit lower and clear out some of these longs. Maybe go out higher first, clear out these shorts, and then come back down and clear out these longs. I think the 7 days is a good representation of what I would expect here. This little last line of defense on the land of the longs, 112.6K. If we were to go down there, I mean, we could clear out all these longs. So that is making sense of lower prices than 114K. But if we were to clear out this kind of first bit and not hit this last little spike in volume, 114K, 113.4K, that could be where we go. So whenever I say that we are just shy of finding the low, if not at the low, I really do mean it. I think that it's safe to assume this is the low, but it's also just as safe to assume that we see a slightly lower low. My thoughts, though, are that we will not go to 112K because, again, as I said in the beginning, a lot of people are expecting 112K. And typically whenever you expect an area, you either fall short of that area, right? This is the intended area, or you exceed it by a large degree. And hopefully we're not exceeding it by a large degree. But there's a friend of mine in the crypto space he's like my best crypto friend, actually. And we always joke with each other about how just one more drop, just one more pump, and then we're dumping, or then we're pumping. Just one more drop, and then we're pumping, right? Anytime you hear that or that kind of vibe, you might not hear those exact words, but when it's that kind of vibe, just one more drop. We've dropped a lot, yeah. We were just at new all-time highs in euphoric, and there's all this bullish media and stuff the other day, and all those fundamentals are still there, and it's the exact same project it was here that it is here, and we're definitely set for new freaking all-time highs. But we're going to get one more drop. We're just going to get one more drop because we deserve it. We're going to get it at a cheaper price, and then it'll go up to these fabulous prices that we've been expecting for a very long time, these brand new all-time highs that we've been waiting for, that we've been anticipating. No, that's not what happens. It leaves you wanting. Bitcoin leaves you wanting. And if you're expecting it to go to 112K, the best way to leave you wanting is to just move up from here, right? And I'm not saying that it has to. I'm not saying that we can't go lower. I just wouldn't be surprised at all if this was the low. So if it's not the low, I might be off by like $1,000. Okay, that's my thoughts at the most. Maybe not at the most. Sure, I think there's a scenario where we could go just above 112K, as we saw on these liquidation levels on the 30-day time frame, and even on the 12-day time frame. Right, there is a scenario where we could go like right around 112K and even just above or just below there. I just don't think it's going to happen, personally. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm kind of curious, what about the last day? Because we didn't look at the day. Last 24 hours has relevance sometimes. Yeah, there's more shorts than longs. We could move up a little bit, clear out these shorts, and then come back down and clear out the longs, right? Just really decimate people, man. Screw them up. Let's look at the 1 hour time frame again, and then we'll zoom back out. I hope I'm making sense. If I'm not making sense, I don't know how to make sense, man. It's the morning. This is my first video. Cut me some slack, okay? RSI. Again, makes sense that it would go up a little bit higher. Stochastics look good enough to go higher, in my opinion, as well, right? You're already bouncing off the oversold zone and pointed upwards, but it is the brand new beginning of an hour, so let's, you don't even have a wick to the downside. Typically, if you look at these green candles, typically, not always, right? This one did not have it, but typically, you do have wicks to the downside. So I don't like starting off an hour to the green side if I'm calling for the upside, right? I want it to go down first, and then we come up. That's typically better. Typically being the key word. We do have bullish divergence on the MACD, higher lows here with lower lows in the price. Building bullish momentum right now. I would think even if we do go lower, this MACD could allow for us to come up to the zero, reject there, and then come down. So that could push us up again to prior areas of support to find resistance, which is very common, as you've probably come to know at this point, even if it's your first cycle, unless you're brand new, like within the last month or something. 117.1, which I'm sure we got a lot of new people. New all-time highs always bring in a new crowd. 117K, 117.1K, something like that, and then lower. Right, and of course that would also enable us to have this W shape, this kind of this nice little W shape that we could have, double bottom or even a lower low, slightly lower low, slightly higher low. It doesn't have to be a lower low. Again, Bitcoin's meant to screw with you. It's not meant to just make you money easily while you're sleeping, right? I mean, it is if you're doing it for the long term, but if you're doing it in the short term stuff, it's meant to screw with you. And in the short term, the best way to screw with you is to make you think it's going lower. I mean, if we're right there, just above that high, that might screw with some people. Or if we go just below that low there, I said high, I meant low. If we go just below that low there, that'll give you confirmation bias. We're going to 112K, I know it. And then boom, then we rip from there. Anything and everything can happen. We'll see. Looking at the 4 hour time frame, it does look as though we're in this kind of downward sloping range too, with a blemish, right? You got lower. Whoops, I guess we could draw that line too, but you've got lower lows here. You've got lower highs here, right? You've got that blemish there. I would think we come up, find resistance, right, and then come down. I'm not drawing those lines the best, but again, that would kind of agree with that area that we're looking for. And maybe even go a little bit higher. That's okay. If you go above 117.1K, don't get too excited. I'll tell you what, get excited here. Let's see. Let's look at this low to high from August 2nd, right? That was our low of the range. Low to high. Low of the range to the all-time high. We just missed the 786 too, right? I was telling you guys, Bitcoin loves its 786, and that's what really stands out to me as a a chance that we have a little bit more work to do to the downside, okay? But I really do think that we'd find support there. If not, that could have been the low. Maybe it's heavily anticipated. Maybe I'm not the only one who's noticed that Bitcoin likes the 786 lately, and people are front running it. I don't, that could be it as well. But typically, if you go from the 786 to your golden ratio and you find resistance, you will go lower. So something in this range is still very much alive and possible. If we close above the golden ratio, that's a good sign, but we have to close above there. Don't just move above there. Close above there and probably get 2 4-hour candles in a row to close above there. If you want to validate this as a low, that's the first step. Get 2 4-hour candles to close above there if you want to validate this as a low. If you really want to validate it as a low, I think what would need to happen essentially would be 121.4K. If that's not good enough for you, that's too far away, we're basically at new all-time highs. Oh, now you tell me it's the low. Okay, right, I hear you. Maybe the 382. Maybe this prior area of resistance here on a 4-hour closing basis right there. It seems significant enough. Resistance here, support here, resistance back here. It's your 382, 120K. How about that? Get above 120K. I know it's only like $1,500 in difference on a $100,000 asset, but I'm just saying that's the best I got. Until then, we're just we're wandering. We're trying to figure it out. Because the reality is, we could come all the way up here. We could even go higher, but if we're not closing above there, we could come back down and we could still form this kind of W shape. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be. And even then, maybe we do have a low, but we run the risk of going lower. We got to wait and see. We're in a wait and see moment, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if this was the low. I'm just putting that out there. Okay. Looking at the 4-hour indicators, the RSI does look bearish beyond all belief, calling for slightly lower lows, right? Lower lows here, lower highs here. Typically in these downtrends, again, that word, not always, but typically, whenever you get these downtrends, you do end in the oversold zone, and you end with these higher lows giving you bullish divergence. Higher lows in the RSI, lower lows in the price. We have half of that. We're in the oversold zone, but we don't have the higher lows yet. We don't always, again, it's typical, but typically like 60% of the time. It's not like 90% of the time whenever I say typically. Same thing with the upside, right? Typically, whenever you have an uptrend, you end it in the overbought zone with bearish divergence or a double top. That works too, right? Bearish divergence though, and then you start your downtrend. This thing is near completion, I would say. And from where we are here, I wouldn't be surprised if we moved up just a little bit more. Again, giving us that slightly higher price from where we are now at about $116,000. Maybe we move up about $1,000. Close, find resistance somewhere around like the 50, maybe even up a little bit higher, and then we come back down and we see our final onslaught to the downside where we bounce off the oversold zone or somewhere inside the oversold zone. I would think that either by the end of today, the 18th, or sometime tomorrow, the 19th, we will have resolution. It could take as long as Wednesday. It's possible, depending on if we dilly-dally or not. But I think this week, between now and the next couple of days, we should have resolution. I mean, maybe by the time you're watching this video, we're even having resolution. So we'll see. Stochastics, bullish enough. I mean, this, to be fair, the stochastics would suggest that we do go higher from here. Stochastics even have bullish divergence, which would definitely call for a move up to about 117.1, 117.3K. MACD, no bullish divergence, but actually you do have bullish divergence on the histogram here. You have higher lows there with lower lows in the price, yeah. So same thing, calling for that same area. With the MACD and these histograms, these things can build out, these divergences can build out for a long time, typically, right? Like you've got, and again, that word typically, not always, but I wouldn't get too overzealous with this. It does look rather bearish overall. I would expect that we do have lower prices to achieve based off of what I'm seeing with the oscillators here. But maybe for a moment we do catch a little breather, just a little breather, right? I wouldn't be surprised if this candle here, we move up, we close it green, but with a big wick to the upside, and then the next candle coming down to end the day, we come down, maybe it's Tuesday, maybe it's Wednesday. I mean, the way that I have it drawn there, that would be Wednesday that we would have our low. So again, sometime between now and then, we should have resolution. The lowest that I would expect us to go, that I'm expecting, might be like 113.5K at this point. Maybe we go a little bit below that 114K area just because of how we're interacting with the 786 here. Just because, if we come up, we find resistance here, that does up the chances to go to the 886. So 113.3K could be on the table. But I like that 114.5K. That's the area, 114.4K. I like that area. We've been talking about that area for a little while, so I won't mind sticking with that. If I'm off by $1,000, that's okay. If that's the low and I'm off by $200, that's okay. You know what I mean? Like it's fine one way or another. It does seem as though we're consolidating. It does seem as though we're loading up winding up for this next big move, and I do think that we're going to move up higher very, very soon, my friends. I don't think that we're in a bearish state at all. We'll get bearish if we take out 112K, but even that, I don't know. Bitcoin's tricky sometimes, you guys. Bitcoin is tricky. You know, it's like right here. You took out that low, and then boom, that's whenever you ripped, right? Even here throughout this range, you took out that low, and that's when you ripped. And then inevitably, you took out that high, and that's whenever you dipped. It's kind of how it happens, right? It's like right at those moments. And of course, you could interpret that as, well, it's at its lowest when it's at the low. It's at its highest when it's at the high. But that's not necessarily what I'm saying. I'm saying when you have an established range like this, it's just right when you break those moments of significance, those areas of significance, that's whenever people get excited, and that's where bad decisions are made, and that's where the price really makes you pay for those bad decisions. But we'll see if that happens. I'm just talking at this point, you guys. I got nothing else to say. RSI on the weekly time frame is bullish as hell. Stochastics are in a little jeopardy here, but I don't mind them. I don't mind them. They've been relatively bullish overall. And the MACD is actually at a good point to bounce any time now. So any week, this week, it could be this week that we're at new all-time highs, if not next week. And somebody asked in the comments, I'll end this real quick. Somebody asked, if Bitcoin's going to new all-time highs this week, does that mean that Ethereum's moving up to new all-time highs this week? And that's a great question. I don't think so. I think that Ethereum will see new all-time highs maybe even in September. It might chill for a second because Ethereum's been on a tear, guys. It's been on a straight tear. There's a lot of attention on Ethereum, a lot of hype and euphoria around there, right? When Bitcoin was on a tear and there's a lot of hype and euphoria, look at how long we consolidated for. You know what I mean? There's hype and euphoria here too, but I'm just saying, look at how long we consolidated for. Even here, even with this 1 week of movement, let alone the weeks and months of movement that Ethereum's had, we're consolidating for a whole week or two, maybe. You know what I mean? Before seeing new all-time highs. Ethereum might consolidate between now and the end of August. Maybe we see new all-time highs by the end of the month, but I don't think we'll see them by the end of this week. But probably very likely in September at the very latest, okay? Like early September. I got nothing else for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one, okay? Take care of yourselves, and of course, buy the dip. Buy the dip. All right, bye.